The most cutting-edge thing about Hannes Sjöblad isn't the phone in his hand. It's the microchip actually in his hand. The tiny implant is the latest advance in a biohacking technology that is steadily becoming a part of normal life in Sweden.
We have created a new implant, which is not a chip, it's a full device where you can add different lights, different vibration, different functions. Sweden is a very tech-literate society. And I think this is the main explanation, really, why a lot of Swedes are adopting chip implants.
Swedes haven't been shy about upgrading themselves with the new version. Thousands already have microchip implants that they use in their daily lives, waving their hand to gain entrance to the gym, confirm their ID or make payments. A short moment of pain not putting them off becoming part Swede, part machine. This event is an implant party, simply where ordinary people can show up and get a microchip embedded under their skin. The biohacking movement in Sweden is hosting them all over Europe, but it's at home where they get the most willing recipients.
I think it's really cool. You don't have to carry any keys or anything. It's just your body. In maybe 10 years, everything will be in your hand.
In Sweden, more than anywhere else, the future is already here. The national train company SJ has around 2,600 people signed up to use microchips instead of train tickets.
Did you see that?
And no need to mind the generation gap. 18-year-old Felicia and father Magnus still bear the scars of their new implants. Student Hannah Herving is also freshly chipped and now just needs to program it to open doors. Although importantly for a future career, it does already connect to her LinkedIn.
Some people say I'm mad that I don't know if it's safe and all that, but people have been putting these chips into animals for 20 years, so I'm not worried about that.
The long-term goal is for the new chips to help provide medical care in remote communities. They're already getting under the skin of the Swedes and may soon become just another normal part of modern life and of the human body. Paul Rees, Al Jazeera, Lund, Sweden.
With a wave of his hand, Emil Grafstra can unlock the door to his house. Even his car has a keyless entry system without a remote. In 2005, the 37-year-old decided to implant himself with 2 rice grain-sized radio frequency identification, or RFID chips, based on a simple premise.
Authorization to get into a place is really about, identity, not about having a key that secures.
The chips aren't visible under his skin, and Grafstra says he doesn't even feel them.
Implanting yourself with an RFID tag is a process that takes less than a minute.
Grafstra has successfully built prototypes that allow the implanted RFID chip to communicate with smartphones, share contact details with friends, and even open doors. The technology is called NFC, or near-field communication. Grafstra's next step, crowdfunding.
One of the things that we're working on is kind of continuing the development in the NFC space to create a secure storage medium for Bitcoin wallet addresses, private encryption keys, that kind of stuff.
Xinhua Cheng created a blog called Everyday NFC and wrote a book by the same name. She doesn't believe human RFID chip implants are very practical.
The technology changed so fast. If there's a next generation tags or chips come out, if you use implant, you have to do another transition for the technology. I just feel like it's not that convenient.
But Grafstra does see a future for RFID implants and a market. He's already sold more than 500 self-implant kits online. Chris Casquejo, CCTV.
Microchips implanted in human bodies could transform the way we tackle many everyday tasks. Some workers in Sweden are already developing and volunteering to have chips injected into their hands. The technology can make some tasks easier and reduce the amount of personal items employees need to carry. John Blackstone looks at the controversial trend and how it could put your privacy at risk.
In a Stockholm business complex, employees gain access not with key cards, but with a wave of a hand.
This is something that you can use just like a key badge.
At a recent tech conference, Hannes Sjoblad explained how a microchip implanted in his hand makes his life easier. It replaces all the keys and cards that used to clutter his pockets.
I use this many times a day. For example, to unlock my smartphone, to open the door to my office.
Sjoblad calls himself a biohacker.
We biohackers, we think that the human body is a good start, but there is certainly room for improvement.
The first step in that improvement is getting a microchip about the size of a grain of rice slipped under the skin. Suddenly, the touch of a hand is enough to tell the office printer, this is an authorized user.
It felt pretty scary, but at the same time it felt very modern.
The microchips are radio frequency identification tags, the same technology widely used in things like key cards. The chips have been implanted in animals for years to help identify lost pets. Now the technology is moving to humans. A tech startup called Dangerous Things has sold tens of thousands of implant kits for humans, some to tech companies in Europe. Sjoblad even organizes implant parties where people can bond over getting chipped together.
I love gadgets, and now I kind of feel like I'm a gadget myself.
Even a car door can be tweaked to open with a touch, but each touch leaves a digital footprint, and that can compromise privacy. It also seems to be one thing if retailers can track me on my phone to see if they can get me to buy some socks or underwear. It's a different thing if my employer can see where I am, see what I'm doing when I'm off the job.
This is serious stuff. We're talking about a nonstop potential connection to my body. I can't turn it off. I can't put it away. It's in me. That's a big problem.
Even a dedicated biohacker has concerns.
It's very easy to hack a chip implant. So my advice is don't put your life secrets on a chip implant.
Somebody put an implant inside me. I found it this morning.
Back in 2004, the Manchurian Candidate suggested a future where humans are chipped and controlled. We have been warned.
It's about educating the people and giving every person the tools, not only how to use the technology, but more importantly, when it's being used against you.
But biohackers also predict the next generation of chips will save lives by monitoring health and fitness. For now, being chipped means never having to say you're sorry you forgot your key card. For CBS This Morning, John Blackstone, San Francisco.
I'm fascinated by this. I've always thought it was the future, that it would carry your medical records, that it could track your fitness, that you could buy your groceries with it. Right, like an Apple Pay or something.
I'm all in.
Yeah. I'm skeptical. I'm scared of becoming a cyborg, but if you guys go first, I'll join you.
Earlier this week, Michelle Greenstein brought me, and brought you actually, a report on the coming cashless society. And we talked about eye scans, remember, and finger scans and facial scans, and how we're likely to see a future where your biometric information is linked to every transaction that you make. And we also showed you 40 different countries that have already developed some sort of biometric ID grid. But while looking into this, Michelle found a story that she thinks deserves a segment of its own. This one is about microchips, but not just microchips. Microchips being inserted into the bodies of human beings. So Michelle joins us now to tell us about this coming cashless society and how that might affect it as well. This is kind of creepy, but I can't wait to hear more about it. So microchips in human bodies. Do tell.
So these are radio frequency identification chips, or RFID.
Yeah.
This is the same exact technology that right now we have in most of our debit and credit cards. We also have a number of states, New York, Vermont, Michigan, that have already adopted an RFID chip program for their driver's licenses. And as more states sign on to this, this may become mandatory in the U.S. But let's talk about these chips, like you can see here, in your bodies. Look, with all technology, you have good and bad sides, right? So there's definitely potential for some good. If you're differently able, if you're perhaps unable to open a door without help, then this will allow you to gain access to your home. If you go to the hospital, they will have all your medical records right there. And then, of course, you have the issue of lost pets. Over the past few years, we've seen these heartwarming stories of owners being reunited with their dogs. This flooded the internet. Even Ohio State University said that dogs with chips are 2 2.5 times more likely to be returned home. So we're seeing this kind of technology being rolled out worldwide. In Spain, there are certain clubs where you can just use a microchip to skip the line. You don't have to wait in line. In Sweden, there are train tickets where you can just swipe your little hand and you don't have to have a tangible train ticket. And then, of course, there's this Wisconsin-based company called 3 Square Market. It's the first U.S.-based company to implant these microchips into their workers. You could use it to enter the building, to buy food in the company. Let's see what the CEO had to say about this process.
Okay.
The vast majority of our employees absolutely love the conveniences that having this chip in their hand really brings. I can log into my computer with this, which I do every day. I can log into my phone with it. I can pay for items if I forgot my credit card or my phone. I can log into work. This is the actual size of the chip. I don't know if you can see that, but it is the size of a grain of rice, literally.
So this is the kind of thing that could be really good for humanity, right? We could prevent identity theft. There's microchips in medications where we have wireless capsules that senses.
I get it. I mean,
right?
yeah. I mean, we got, in fact, here, I want to show the audience what we have here at RT. Like most buildings, we have our own security.
Swipe cards, for sure.
And I keep ours, you know, it's essentially just a little card, and whenever we walk into certain places, you got to show it, and then the door's
Right, and you don't
opening,
have to be like, I am Rick Sanchez, and I can prove it because this is my name, my address, my phone number. You just have your card.
It makes sense. It would be nice if I didn't always have to be grabbing my wallet and finding it. So I understand what they're doing, but okay, so that's good, and it creates a certain amount of facility for things. I don't want something in my body, A, and B, I'm uncomfortable with the fact that then somebody could be surveilling me at all times.
Right, exactly. There's a huge privacy concern, and this is the type of ramification, political ramifications, that innovators usually don't consider. Of course, governments and corporations can exploit this kind of data and thus exploit you. But right now, this is not mandatory, right? Employers cannot mandate that you have this in your body. In California, there's actually a law that banned the forced implementation of these chips. Just this month, the Arkansas House voted to also ban employers from requiring implants in their employees. But look, with all technology, everything is voluntary until it's not, right? Until it's required.
Exactly.
So they shove this in our faces. There's a lot of mainstream coverage about this sort of trend.
Look how cool, right?
Exactly. And some people are scared of it. People talk about it. Most people hate it, as they do now, because it's very new. But then you have some people saying, oh, well, it's not so bad. And then, of course, you have the issue of economically forcing people. Like if you want to get a certain job or eat at a certain restaurant, you're going to choose to put this in your body. And then we have the case of Jane Goodyear. She was actually fined for failing to microchip her dog. Take a look at this headline. So it's only a matter of time before these types of policies make their way to microchipping your own self. So what we're seeing is increased surveillance, all in the name of convenience, as usual. Right now, we can unlock our phones with our faces, right? No one's putting a gun to your head and saying you have to get this smartphone, but you choose to. And the idea is that, look, soon everyone will have this technology, so I might as well get it early. I might as well jump on this bandwagon. And it really seems like we're looking at a future where everything is going to be networked, tracked, databased. Right now we have credit scores. We might be seeing social credit scores.
Do you ever see the possibility in your life, and I know you're kind of like a millennial, so I
am a millennial, technically.
Oh, boy, look at that. You are a millennial. And with pride, she says it. All right. Do you ever see a possibility where you would allow somebody to put something like that in your body?
Right now, no, but I cannot imagine that I can predict this kind of thing. Who knows? If everyone around me had it, if I lived 20 years from now, maybe everyone had it and I wouldn't even think twice.
Yeah, there was a time when we said that we would never have cell phones on us at all times, or we would never always have to use credit cards.
Right.
And
we just need to ask.
And it's become the new normal, right? It's the reality of our times.
We just need to ask who's behind this push, and we'll definitely follow up about that.
Millennial Michelle Greenstein joining us tonight with the Millennial Report.